Om Shanti. Today I'd like to read from the Dhamapada, part 3. I'll call this part 3 of the Dhamapada, being the third edition of it. And this is the text, it's the Buddha text, Buddha scriptures dating from 100 AD to 400 AD. The Dhamapada, the third part that I've posted. I hope this has been helpful to people. And it begins, the sutra teaches by the practice of meditation, the lake of the heart becomes pure and calm. The sutra that is a text that claims to have been spoken by Buddha. By the Buddha is the sutra. So the sutra teaches by the practice of meditation, the lake of the heart becomes pure and calm. By the practice of meditation, the heart becomes pure and calm. And when a man's heart becomes calm, the bodhisattva, that is the wisdom of the holy man, appears upon the still lake. So the sutra teaches by the practice of meditation, the lake of the heart becomes pure and calm. And when a man's heart becomes calm, the bodhisattva appears upon the still lake. That is, the wisdom of the holy man appears in the still lake and the still waters of the heart. When the wellspring of the heart is purified, the wrong paths which otherwise appear do not appear when the heart is purified. Radiant and real meaning of the extraordinary exists inside our ordinary lives. The ordinary lives contain inner gossip of the self and others' mind. The extraordinary, extrasensory mind is filled with silence. Gossip, self-talk and inner chatter cheats the mind of potential, of its potentiality. Negative self-talk is a pirate stealing away the potential of silence and hence inner power. The mind you allow takes root in your inner world. That is, the mind you allow into your mind to focus on and to grow with your concentration becomes your inner world, the mind you allow. If someone works for a company and steals money for himself, he brings ruin on the whole company. The company is brought to ruin. It falls down around the fault maker. As it is with the heart, passions wrongly directed can collapse and bring ruin on the whole heart. It takes work and effort, endless effort, to be passionless in the true heart. The true heart. You must work at it. You must work at having the right Dharma, the right knowledge growing in the mind. It takes root. Loosing and dropping off body and mind, you see before you the true nature. So, this sutra is claimed to have been spoken by the Buddha himself. It is said that anyone who devotes himself wholeheartedly to spiritual meditation without wavering reaches the supreme state. The supreme state is known as samadhi. Anyone who devotes himself. It is not a matter of dull, clever or stupid. It's beneath the human. It's the human soul that is activated. It's beyond judgment and categorization. It's for all. That was my additive, it's for all. I'm just putting in my bit to say that it's for all people, no matter how you think of yourself, no matter how others think of yourself. You can ascend into Buddhahood, into a higher state, and that is anyone. The wisdom that has gone beyond brings back jewels of transcendence. As the earth is the support for all things, morality is the earth of the 5 cardinal virtues. So the 5 cardinal virtues is 1, faith, 2, vigour, 3, mindfulness, 4, concentration, and the 5th is wisdom, and they all rest on morality. By faith the flood is crossed, by wakefulness the sea, By vigour illness is past, by wisdom cleansed is he. Calling to mind the things of the Dharma, that is right knowledge. The calling up to the mind is mindfulness. So you see it quite often in the media and on the internet, perhaps mindfulness, or what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is selecting the right knowledge and calling up to the mind the right knowledge. It's the practice, that is the practice, the vigilant practice of mindfulness, is to fill your mind with only the right knowledge, the good things, the things of the Dhamma, which is the truth of understanding wisdom, understanding the truth in wisdom. Calling up what is good and helpful, that is the Dharma. Letting go of the elephants trampling your mind is wisdom. The Dharma of wisdom is mindfulness. When one calls to mind the Dharmas which participate in what is wholesome and unwholesome, blamable and blameless, inferior and sublime, dark and light, these are the 4 right efforts. These 4 right efforts are the 4 roads to psychic power. These 5 cardinal virtues, faith, vigour, mindfulness, concentration and wisdom, are the 5 powers. These, the 7 limbs of enlightenment. This is the holy eightfold path. This is calm, this insight, this knowledge, and this emancipation. Thereafter, the yogi tends to those dharmas which should be followed, and he does not participate in those which should not be followed. And that's mindfulness, is the discernment in the mind, the selective discernment of what you'll feed on and what you will not. That's my attitude. It is in the sense of calling to the mind that which of the dharmas should be called to the mind, which should be tended, which should be watered and gently lovingly grown in the mind like new seeds, like plants that need attention of the grower in order to grow. In mindfulness, all these shoots are headed by concentration. They bend toward concentration, like plants to the sun. When wisdom arises, it dispels the darkness of ignorance. It illuminates, and this is where things grow, in the light of illumination from wisdom, from the wisdom of concentration, and from the vigour of faith in mindfulness. The holy and good disciples of morality in the earth do not grow the body planted in the earth. The earth grows that body. The disciples grow the inner body. The earthly body delights in the senses and their objects, and are not impressed upon by the disciples, and in consequence their craving ceases. The craving that ceases lends successfully to a new birth, to a new plant, to a new blossoming within the you, which is planted in the earth. The inside planting grows the space around it. Not all win nirvana, only those win nirvana who progress correctly. They are those dharmas which should be known, those dharmas which should be developed, those dharmas which should be realised. Only those ones become realised, those who are realised, and are realised by nirvana, having attained it. Nirvana shares 1 quality with the lotus, 2 with water, 3 with medicine, 10 with space, 3 with the wishing jewel, and 5 with a mountain peak. As cool water allays heat, so nirvana is cool and allays feverish heat of passions. It allays the thirst for cravings and passions, feverish sensations and pleasured passions. As medicine protects from the poisonous passions, nirvana gives security and puts an end to sickness of unworthy desires. As medicine puts an end to sickness, so nirvana to sufferings. The 10 qualities that nirvana shares with space, they are that it never grows old, it never passes away, it is unconquerable, cannot be stolen, cannot be given away, cannot be altered, cannot be fenced in, cannot be controlled, cannot be tricked, and cannot be contorted. Like a wishing jewel, nirvana grants 1, all one's desires. 2, makes dreams come true. 3, it is the hidden magic of conscious existence, making real the highest hopes. And finally, as a mountain peak is free from all desire, so nirvana As a mountain peak has the highest view and is imperishable, so nirvana. The seeds of all passions cannot grow at such an altitude, so nirvana. In the world one can see things grown of karma, produced by the cause, produced by one's nature, creating karmic effects. As we are inherent and born in the dark heart of the forest, we must climb out, we must climb up. We are given, we are born into a cause for nirvana. Our goal is to climb the mountain. If there is a seed for a sprout planted in the dark heart of the forest, one must conceive a planter of the seed. A tree reaching up above the canopy of the forest toward the sunlight would be the effort of the seeded sprout. It must have a root, a middle, and a top. It must be grown in the essential 3 stages. As a seed in Maya, as a shoot stretching out of samsara, as a treetop in nirvana. As a seed in Maya is planted in the fertilizer in the mortal world, and Maya is the world of illusion, this world of illusion. And as a shoot stretching out of samsara, we stretch up and out of the cycle of birth and death. As a treetop in nirvana, the heavenly place. So as a seed in Maya, as a shoot stretching out of samsara, and as a treetop in nirvana, the 3 stages. Having risen above from below, below from the world, above to the heaven. Nirvana is not seen nor known and does not exist to a mind which is not pure, sublime, straight, unimpeded, undisciplined, but only exists to a holy disciple. A common mind shrugs at the wind as he walks off. The holy disciple flies a kite. It is the gift of awareness. Awareness is dead in the undisciplined mind and alive with joy and wonder, decoded and flying high in the mind of the holy disciple. The point is not to have the right answers, like an answering box, but to have the right experience. It's all about the it's me now. It's all about the experience. It's not enough to need to read, not enough to know, not enough to memorize, not enough to talk about. You have to experience it, or it's pointless. Pointless. The reason the common world suffers so much physical and mental pain is because its thought is so underdeveloped. Man, like a hungry and excited dog, he has been tied up. He is weak, frail, wrapped up and angry. He is in pain, shrieks, barks, snarls and bites. Runs in circles, chasing his own tail, scratches and claws at the discomfort of constant needs of the body, which make it writhe, and with no time for compassion or giving or for wisdom or for self-development. He is suffering because he is undeveloped in his mind, in his self, in his ideas, in his knowledge, in his understanding, in his hope, but is self-neglected. In hopelessness, he trembles and shakes until it is the end of him. If the root is not needled and worked on with fresh precipitation, it will rot. The whole tree will rot and wither and die. If it is hit with a storm, it will not bend. It is not flexible, but it will snap and break and die. A flexible, fluent mind is in the everflow like water. So then, be like water, like a water ball, bouncing back with the waves. The tree's branches may be shaken, but the trunk is not. In the wind and storms of the outside world, the inside is solid and unshaken. It is in the right attitude, in the beatitude, in the Dharma. The Lord and Bodhisattva were moving in the deep course of the wisdom which has gone beyond. He looked down from on high and beheld the 5 senses heaped up high into 5 full heaps, and yet in their own being, the people beneath the heaps, they were empty. Whatever is form, that is emptiness. Form is emptiness, and that very emptiness is form. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form does not differ from emptiness. It is therefore because of his indifference to any kinds of sufferings or kinds of personal attainment that a bodhisattva, having relied on perfection of wisdom, dwells without thought coverings. Like clouds upon the open sky, thought coverings are moved about by the common peoples across themselves, presenting the show of personal aims, pursuits, and personalities. by cardboard cloud costumes. They show and hide themselves by thought coverings. Bodhisattva is without clouds. He attains nirvana. Therefore, one should know the Pranja Paramita as the great spell, the spell of the great knowledge. By the Pranja Paramita, this spell has been delivered. Gone, gone, gone beyond, gone altogether beyond. Oh, what an awakening, all hail. The question was asked of the Bodhisattva, will there be any beings in the future period, in the last time, in the last epoch, in the last 500 years, at the time of the collapse of the good doctrine, who, when these words of the sutra are being taught, will understand their truth? The Lord replied, yes, even then there will be such beings, for even at that time there will be so bodhisattvas who are gifted with the good conduct, who are gifted with virtuous qualities, who are born with the wisdom, and who, when they hear and are taught the word of the sutra, will understand their truth. Known they are, as are many hundreds of thousands of Buddhas through his Buddha cognition. Seen they are by the Bodhisattva with his Buddha eye. Fully known they are, they will beget and acquire an immeasurable heap of merit. Fully grown they are, because in these Bodhisattvas no perception of self takes place. No perception of a person takes place. Non-perception takes place within them. Now perception of a body or of a person, no perception of a body or a person, because the Bodhisattva should seize the Dhamma, spotless without blemish, like the vast expanse of space, unobstructed, as the moonlight does not differ from the moon, as the holy virtues do not differ from the virtuous. Buddha Dhammas heralding, O gracious majesty beyond compare. As the drops of dew in contact with the sun's rays disappear into it, so the world's theories vanish. Once one has attained thee, once one has attained thee. Not from anywhere thou comest, and to nowhere dost thou go. In no dwelling place have sages ever apprehended thee. Wonderful, profound, illustrious, hard thou art to recognize, thou art seen like a mock show, yet thou art not seen at all. Thou art the one path to salvation. Who is able here to praise thee, lacking signs and features? Thou art the range of speech transcending, not supported anywhere. Only when freed from hate and love it reveals itself fully without disguise. 1/10 of an inch difference are heaven and earth. Set apart, if you wish to see it with the inner eye, let them dissolve into one, the one from which you came. Pursue not the outer entanglements, dwell not in the inner void, but in serenity. The oneness of things emerges, and dualism vanishes by itself, so we reach beatitude. The object is an object for the subject is a subject for the object. Know that the relativity of the two results ultimately in one emptiness. In it, all forms are endowed with the sameness of space, and the mind is held steady in this nature of this sameness. When the mind ceases thus to be mind, the true nature of the innate shines forth. Sitting quietly and doing nothing, spring comes and the grass grows itself. This is the third Dhamapada I've posted, and I really hope even just one little part of this has been helpful for you in your life. This is the road to progress and change. You have to firstly know it and then to invest in it. So I hope this is helpful. Om Shanti.